competing against and how badly they're going to want to win it for their brother coming back. So our guys have to be prepared for that.
Coach, for years, people have talked about kind of duplicating the Warriors style of play. But then you look at your team and the style that you play. You know, you've got 3 7-footers out there on the court at the same time. And now it kind of feels like you've got teams talking about your style of play. You know, what do you make of that? Anything?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, you want to imitate the Warriors' success, right? But what they've done is been able to create something unique that nobody else in the league has been able to create. You know, you can talk about teams have tried it, but nobody has been able to, you know, master the way the Warriors play. And I think that's something that, you know, we needed to find something that we were unique at. And us being able to put, you know, that size on the floor makes us unique. And then how can we be successful by being unique? And that was our focus. And, you know, again, you follow and watch the successes around the league, and then you have to figure out how you kind of find and craft your own niche. And I think, you know, us being different and unique with our size, we found to be our niche.
And then I'm going to ask you to go back for a minute here, because we're taking a look back at the Cavs and Warriors 4 years in the finals run. Being on the outside of that, but obviously being a basketball lifer, you know, how remarkable was that to see the same 2 teams in the finals for 4 straight years?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, people underestimate how difficult it was for that to happen. You know, let alone 1 team, but 2 teams, you know, having to endure, you know, 82 game seasons and then all the things that happened in the playoffs and ending up back in that, you know, in the finals. You know, both teams had to be extremely fortunate in order to do that, and, you know, disciplined and dedicated, because it's not easy. You know, mentally, it's not easy physically, you know, to play that amount of games and keep coming back with that same level of competition. So one, there's a huge appreciation and respect for those guys and those coaches that led those teams back to the finals 4 times in a row. And then again, you love competition. And as a competitor, like watching, you love rivalries. You know, when it gets past basketball and it gets, you know, emotional and it gets physical, like that's what the NBA is all about. And, you know, 4 times in a row, they were sick of each other, and it was, you know, whatever by any means necessary. And, you know, it was enjoyable to watch.
And then lastly, from me, you said that Blazers game the other night was just another win, but to be at this early point in the season and already match the win total from last season, just what does that say about how far this team has come and where you're headed as a group?
We're growing, you know, and it's a testament to our guys. And a credit to them that they wanted to implement change and they wanted to impact change. And they did the work over the summer where, you know, to improve their individual skills. They came back together early on and were competing together. So I think that's the thing for us is, you know, we're not done yet, but it just shows our guys' commitment to getting better and achieving more.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Kelsey Russo, The Athletic. JB, it was just announced earlier that Brandon Goodwin was converted to a 2-way. What did you see through his 10-day, and what does he add having him now on this 2-way? What, I guess, excites you about having him with this group?
Well, I mean, one, his competitive nature, and you saw that right away. You know, his ability to pick people up full court, you know, defensively to challenge people. And then he plays with no fear. You know, he's got a confidence that he belongs. You know, he attacks the basket offensively. He understands who he is and how he can help the team. You know, so that's why we were excited to have him and knew he was a need for us.
You mentioned when we talked to him the other week about knowing you in Memphis. So knowing him then and then knowing him now, even just those few years, where have you seen him grow the most from when he, I guess, came in with the Cavs?
Well, I mean, I think it's that experience that you have. You know, it's being coached by different coaches. It's understanding the NBA game. And I think that's what you see from him now. Obviously, we had him as a rookie his first year out. And, you know, we knew he was an NBA player. But then once you go through those battles and those, you know, practices and training camps and seeing other teams and other great players, you know, you sharpen your sword a little bit. And I think that's what we've seen from him. And he's a better basketball player now for sure.
And then this back-to-back, well, it will be the halfway point in the season, just kind of crazy to think about. But when you look at back to training camp, preseason to now, what where have you guys grown the most? What stands out to you about where you guys are now? I guess, with the goals and the mindsets you guys had in mind coming into the season.
It's the connectedness of the group. We came into this season and our message was all about team. And we knew that if we were going to have any success, that we would have to be the best team on the floor every night. And that doesn't mean the individual talent. It means we had to be tied together. We had to have the best chemistry. We had to trust one another and sacrifice for one another. And I think our guys have proven that they were willing to do that. The successes that we've had have come because of that.
Then one quick one, where do you see the next steps, in the second half of the season? Like where are areas of focus for improvement, or just, I guess, what you would like to see going forward?
We just need to continue to get our continuity back. I do think, that time off and then the injuries and stuff like that had an impact on our group. And we've got to just make sure we're doing all the things to kind of, recalibrate, so to speak, and find, that rhythm that we had before.
Coach, I want to ask you about my bad. When you look at the history of the Warriors, over the last couple of years, there's been a Durant and Iguodala and whatnot, but when you look at Clay coming back and him rejoining Steph and Draymond, what those three guys mean to the fabric of their success?
I mean, I think, not to short KD and what he did here, but, they are everything to it. They were the beginning of it. And, I remember playing them when we were in Houston before. And, you started to see the shift in how they played stylistically. And it was those guys' willingness to play the way and the style that they wanted to play is what's made them the team that they are and the dominant force that they've been for over, however many years, because it's not a isolation, individual style of basketball, right? Which at that time is what the league was. The league was a lot of ISOs and pick and roll and those things, but their willingness to be different and obviously their skill set and talent, but to play so selfless, that's the reason why everybody else buys in, because their three best players are willing to do it. So everybody else has no reason not to follow suit.
Coach, you talked about just the way Golden State played and how they kind of changed things, especially with going small. And Houston started to kind of match their roster, to like that as well. Can you just talk about just the impact it had on the league when that core group was going and they had Draymond at the small, and then a lot of teams start trotting out a small ball lineup?
Yeah, I mean, it's, the small ball thing is interesting. Like, you go back to the history of it all, and, you go back to like Nelly way back in the day, where people figured out that you just had to put skill on the floor. And normally, typically your smaller guys are your more skilled guys. And I think that's what, Golden State went to. But I think where they're unique is, and everybody can't match it, is the type of players that they have, right? Like Draymond is unique in his ability to play, make, handle, be small, but still guard bigger players. A lot of times you suffer if you put small guys out there and then big guys can, take advantage of them. But they have unique pieces that make them different. And I think, as you see over time, everybody can't do it. And that's why they've been able to be dominant, because they have the pieces that fit the style. And that's how they were built. And then they go get the other people around those guys. And that's why they've been able to have success.